Welcome back, everybody, to the Loud and Drunk podcast. This is Dan, and this is part 2 of our trip to Colombia. But before we get started, I want to encourage you to subscribe to this podcast, leave us a 5-star review as well. If you are on YouTube, make sure that you smash that like button, leave us a comment, share this video with your friends, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our content. And make sure that you bookmark loudanddrunk.com today. So with all of that, let's go right back into the conversation. This is part 2 of the Loud and Drunk trip to Colombia.
When we got to the Airbnb, if anybody's Airbnb before, like sometimes you can just have like a lockbox, so you punch a code in, you get the key. This was not the case. Had to contact Millet, who owned the place, and she sent a very colorful lady to show us from floor to roof the entire place and all the amenities.
Oh, that wasn't her?
No.
I just assumed
that was like one of her agents or something. I don't know.
Well, the equivalent of like a realtor.
Yeah. So we had that lady. That was like about it. And then we had the regular like maintenance guy who was very nice. I unfortunately can't remember his name.
I forget his
he
name
was
too.
great. I can't
I
remember his
liked
name.
him.
Yeah. Very nice guy. But I didn't particularly see it, but something interesting happened while we were getting the show. So if maybe Nicolette wants to take this over.
Yeah, it's a pretty clear memory for me. I think I was the only one following her at this point. But she was kind of showing everyone around, and then everybody just kind of
broke off.
Yeah.
Once they found air conditioning, they're like, fuck this.
Everybody was basically like, I don't give a fuck what the rest of it looks like. I need air conditioning. And she's going into Dan's room, and I'm following her. And then she's like, and this is the bathroom. And before she opens the door, I'm like, no, our friend's in there. Our friend's in there. Because I just knew. I hadn't seen Dan in a hot minute. And I knew where he was. And then she opens the door, and Dan's there. And what's Dan doing?
Dan was, we're still 2 minutes into this version of the this episode. So
share your sin with God, Dan.
I was using the restroom. I was doing a number 2.
Oh, I thought it was going to be cocaine.
No. I would do that with God. I had sneaked away because I definitely had to use the bathroom, and plus there was air conditioning, so very much on brand with what Nick was saying. And yeah, I was also, because this is when we just first checked into the Airbnb, so we're all exhausted. Like naps were in order, but it's impossible for me to nap. So I was just like, oh, I'm just going to go take a shit. And then
Maybe that'll knock me out.
That's the only other option. Sleep or shit.
And so I was like anticipating that someone was going to like they're in the room, and I'm like, they're going to walk in, aren't they? And I'm like, there's something that you could do to stop this. And it's like, it's words, Dan. And I'm like, I don't think I have them. I don't think I have words right now. So as the shadow creeps up the door, I'm just like, yep, this is my fate now. They're just going to walk in.
And she did like this cute, like, older woman scream where she was like, ah!
There's fucking Mrs. Roper.
And then she just kept trying to apologize in English, and her English was obviously super broken. But and you were just so fucking defeated. I could hear it in your face. And she was just like, I'm so sorry. And you're like, it's fine. It's fine.
This might as well be happening.
This is par for
I am
course.
literally dying.
Yeah. When I am that tired, there's just no soul left in me. And so it's impossible for me to be anything other than like an exhausted stoic. Like everything is fine. You didn't do anything wrong, because I was actually my fault. I could have just been like, no, that's a universal word. But it escaped me in that moment.
No.
But yeah, I could not for the life of me.
You took
just
it.
put it together, and I was just like, listen, I just hope that they just don't, this is where the bathroom, because it wasn't even like those rooms, at least for the bathroom in my room, it wasn't like a solid door where you could just like you can't see through it. Like there's like little vents
like
through it.
little slats.
Yeah,
and-
little slats. So you could actually see like potentially like there's a human being in here potentially taking a shit.
I think that's how all the doors were, aside from the front door. They were
Yeah.
all like slatted kind of doors.
Well, you need that for like ventilation in the house as best you can. It's just the style of door. All the windows are like that. They're
You gotta let the
louvered.
stank out.
I felt for you, and I also felt for her because
Yeah.
she was so excited to like show us around, and I was like, nobody else is following her at this point. I'm like, I have to keep following her.
I love that you were simultaneously like a victim and a villain.
And he was also ahead of her from showing us the Airbnb. Like he's already on the second floor taking a shit. like she's like,
Oh, man, this
well,
looks
here's
nice.
the front door, and he's like, squeak, like just tearing one off.
Just tearing one
No, that could have been my fault. I immediately was like, we're claiming this room. And I was also like, Moses, you should have this room. 'cause it
No,
was
that's
on the
what I
bottom
was
floor.
like. Oh, air conditioned? Yeah, there's a bed. Good night. And I was out.
She was also like, this wasn't like a 2-minute thing. She was there for a fucking minute.
Oh yeah.
Because
Well,
like we got
everything-
there.
Yeah,
and
no,
then,
she was trying to chill for sure.
Everything in Spanish culture.
Yeah, it takes
fucking
time.
Forever.
takes
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and that's fine. That is what it is.
Yeah,
You know.
but it's like because like we got there and she showed us the ground floor. Then it's like we went up and there's nothing really of note on the segment. So I feel like we kind of went up all the way to the 3rd floor, where I think is where like Dan kind of peeled off.
She did
at
show
some
us
point.
the laundry room when we were on that second floor area.
and
Yeah.
yet no one knew how to work the laundry.
Well,
No, it didn't work that well.
I knew how to work the laundry.
All right, fair
How'd
enough.
that work out for you?
I got my clothes washed. I just didn't I didn't know if there was a dryer involved, and luckily the person that was
Oh,
like
wow.
helping
That
just
guy.
put all of my my clothes out in the
Yeah.
sun.
Yeah.
I'm lucky they still fit because I was confident that the Colombian sun was going to shrink everything.
Yeah, that's what it does.
Well, that was the thing because like they told us that it was like a combo unit, so like one of those ones that like washes and dries,
Yeah.
but clearly the drying feature was not.
That's what he told me.
Yeah.
'Cause at some point, Dan, like you kind of like asked me about it. I'm like, I'll ask the guy.
Yeah.
And I went up there with him, and he's like, no, it does the whole thing. And I'm like, okay. It's like my buddy says that it doesn't. You know, I was like, but I don't know enough Spanish to argue with you, so I'm just gonna tell him what you said, and then I'll look like a liar.
I've learned like after the fact that those combo units like they will dry, but they're not particularly good at it, and
I agree
especially
with that.
not
Yeah.
particularly efficient
If
about
you
it.
have
So
the
it's
not
time,
bad.
they're good.
What's that?
If you have the time, they're good. They'll
I mean, I
dry.
have the time. Yeah.
it's mostly I assume it just kind of like vaguely heats it up while it spins the shit out of it.
Something like that.
It's
Yeah.
just drying on natural circumstances.
So yeah, we did get back to one day and all your clothes were out hanging in the sun.
That was a basic strategy of mine too. Like I did not bring enough clothes for the entirety of the time that we were going to be there. So I'm like, I'm going to rely on this washer.
Yeah.
So please tell me how to dry my clothes because they'll probably dry on me and it'll probably provide some sort of relief.
Cooling by evaporation.
This is the first time that I ever brought somebody that I actually needed to, like put forth my best foot for.
Yeah.
Yourself, my dear sweetheart. So normally when I've gone there, including with yourself.
Oh, very
I just-
Spartan.
yeah, exactly. I'm super fucking Spartan. I just wash everything in the sink,
Yeah.
and then it dries on me. And
Yeah.
I wander around the city side looking for cocaine and alcohol.
You can do that with me.
I
You
know.
look
I'm,
for
I'm,
that?
I'm joking, baby. I'm not actually looking for cocaine.
You don't have to look for cocaine.
Yeah, you don't have to look for either of those things.
I couldn't get away from it.
No.
You also had the ability to buy clothes while we were there as well.
Yes.
Which
Oh,
we
yeah.
all did.
I bought a bunch of
Did
clothes.
we not
yeah,
all
they're
have
awesome.
the ability to do that?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Some of the shirts I bought are too small for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
But-
thrilled
You're
about
fat.
that.
I had
I know.
that
I've been
problem
putting on
too.
a little bit of weight. I get it.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. I guess it's all about perspective.
I like that you say this while you have a bowl of fucking ziti and
What? I know what I am.
in front of you.
You know what I didn't
That's like
buy?
such a
Ill-fitting
disgusting
fucking
fat person
Colombian
meal.
clothes.
You don't got any cake in there?
No, I don't like cake. I like pie.
You better go away from that microphone with that mouthful of
I
ziti
was
right now.
literally, I'm so glad you fucking said that because I was holding back.
Oh man.
I was just waiting for the chewing noises in the mic.
Bunch of nerds.
Yeah, this is not the ASMR podcast that you initially wanted it to be. So we are not doing that here.
Oh.
You have to eat that. You eat that ziti on your own time.
It's all my time.
So, I mean, I'm going to keep this moving along.
Yeah.
So, our first couple days were like really, really kind of good, like very chill. We walked to different areas, ate all kinds of great food, a lot of just fishes on a dish,
Yeah,
which is
Yeah.
very good.
in a
No, I've
variety
had-
of ways.
Yeah.
2 whole fishes on a dish for 2 different meals.
Proper, like, coconut rice, one of my favorite things from down there.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that was fantastic.
Amazing
Yeah.
juice. Amazing juice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you had
The fruit juice was amazing.
Yeah, everything there. That's one of those things when you travel to like third world countries, basically, or it's like everything is just very legit. Like it's just the authentic version of it.
Mhm.
It's not like a shipped somewhere or something like that. Here in New Jersey, obviously, fruit doesn't really grow.
No.
here.
We had a
You
lot
know,
of really
yeah.
good frozen alcoholic drinks too.
No, that's true.
Like here, it's just like, do you want a pina colada or a strawberry daiquiri? Those are your options.
Well, they take a lot of care with what they make, and
They do,
everything
for
takes
sure.
time and attention there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
And
kind
they-
of how they operate.
And they don't have like, and again, it's one of those, it's the pro or con. It's that they don't have like food delivery services.
Yeah, not
there
really,
because it's a poor country.
Yeah.
So everything the restaurants are serving you is food that they got like from a farm that's somewhere near there. So it's like it's just very authentic, very fresh.
Yeah.
And it tends to be better quality. Tends to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can find
There's always exceptions.
you can find an exception here and there.
Always exceptions.
I think most of the places where we got really good food were like hole in the wall places.
They're poor people
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's where regular people just go to eat, and that's most.
That's
of,
where you want to
It's
go.
most
Yeah.
of the places, yeah. Most of the places there. The only places that we went to, and I guess we'll be nearing that part of the
Yeah.
story soon. But yeah, it's like every time that I've gone there before it got a little bit built up, before tourism became big, it was nothing but poor people
Yeah.
places, and that's where I like to be. It feels very natural for me, and the food is just phenomenal. Just everything is just so.
Well,
nice,
it's like it's a lot of working class places that you want to go to. You
Yeah.
got people sitting in the corner, they're watching the football game. It's like
Yeah.
they're watching soccer, they're having a good time, and it's like family type things. You can tell there's a lot of familial ties in these places.
Yeah.
And it's good, and they take a lot of care. You're not going to get your food fast.
No,
Dude,
no.
it's-
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Spanish culture is not working on a
No.
New Jersey time frame.
No.
Anyways. Yeah, it's like I think of it like in comparison to the American South, where everything takes fucking forever, and it takes longer in Colombia.
It does.
It's like, as they call it, like CPT, colored people
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Like fucking Spanish time is a real fucking thing.
Yeah.
And it's like my cousin there, I fucking love her to death. But like when I go down there, she's always the person that I speak to immediately. I
Yeah.
talked to her before. I
Jami's the
leave.
best.
Jamia is fucking
Jamia, yeah.
fantastic. I absolutely love her. And I'll hit her up like before I leave. And we talk the whole way, and I get to the airport in Florida, and we continue to talk. And then she's like, "All right, I'm gonna meet up with you at 2." And I'm like, "Great." And I get there at like 1:55 because I'm like, I don't want to be late. Like I really respect her and blah blah blah. It's like 3 p.m. goes by, and she's like, "All right, we're getting ready to leave the house." And it's just like, and I realize and it's funny because it's like I've realized it many times to where I shouldn't keep like realizing it. Like it should be built into me. But it's that their time there is just so fundamentally different.
Yeah.
To where if they say to you, 1 p.m., it means 4. And you just need to because it's actually considered like rude to be like to show like it goes in the other direction where it's like I've shown up at their house before. Which is like my familial home, so
Yeah.
I don't feel too shitty about it because whenever I show up too early and they're like, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry.
But also,
And they're
why are
like,
you being so pushy?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like that, and it's like, and it's funny. Like I first really took that in because I showed up. I was told to show up at 1,
Right.
So I showed up at 1, and they're clearly not ready to have guests.
Maybe
And I
I'm
was like-
Spanish.
You might be. You might be. You definitely fit in.
They get me.
And I, yeah.
They just get me.
And she, Jamia said to me, I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm too early. And she was like, no, that's fine. She's like, normally you would just help out if you were here too early. But obviously there's nothing that you can help with. So just sit down.
Yeah.
You
So-
are incapable of
Yeah.
everything.
It's one of those things where it's like, if you show up, you're supposed to participate
Yeah.
in preparing the space. So in other words, if you showed up on time, it's so that you could help.
Yeah.
So I show up on time and it's like, hey, I'm here to hang out.
Yeah.
While you work.
You
know?
go look pretty. Sit on that couch thing over there.
Exactly.
I think that was something that we actually had to get used to when we all went out to dinner was there, like, we're from New Jersey, and so the food usually comes out like all at once, or it's like,
That's not a thing.
as soon as like somebody gets food, you wait till the rest of the party gets the food before you eat.
No,
And
you got to throw that away immediately.
Yeah, so when we were out there, it was like there were selective people that were getting food, and some people were waiting, and then you realize they're not going to get their food for quite some time, so you might as well just start eating.
They picked wrong.
And yeah, it was just something to get used to. By the end of it, as soon as my food like hit the table, I was like, oh, I don't care, I'm eating, because I don't know when your food is coming out, and that's okay for me because I'm gonna eat because I'm hungry.
See, that's something that and you're 100% right. It's like unusual to get used to that aspect of it, but I also love that part of it too, because it's like one of the first times that I experienced exactly what you're describing. It's like I'm sitting there and I'm like being polite, and somebody else's food shows up, right? And then they're just like doing their thing, and I'm waiting. And then it's like you're just sitting there, and it's like, in my personal experience, I've got like my family there. There's like a bunch of like Colombian like boyfriends and husbands that I've never met. And it's like, and you're waiting for your food, and it almost feels like, because you're an American, it feels like they're being rude. And then it's like you're just like waiting, and you're just waiting. You're not like participating in their conversation. And then, like, again, my experience, some random fucking guy who's like dating a distant cousin of mine puts his hand on my knee.
Yep.
And he's like, you need to eat this rice that I'm eating, and gives me a whole fucking forkful. And it's like just this like communal thing in this regard.
Yeah.
You know, and then goes back to eating his meal. And I'm still waiting another fucking half hour for my goddamn food. And it's just completely different from the way that we do it in that regard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I actually, I agree. I gained to like respect it and like understand it at the end of it.
Yeah.
In the beginning of it, I was very uncomfortable.
It's a little bit awkward at first.
Typically, I was the one to get it first.
Yeah.
And that's weird for me. And I eat fast.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay.
Well, you have to in Colombia.
But at the end of it all, I was like, oh, all right, I get it.
Yeah.
I just remember your banana juice you got that looked like just pond scum.
Oh,
but it was the most delicious thing ever.
Most delicious thing.
Bananas just don't look great when they're mixed with water and blended.
But they taste good.
They taste amazing.
Everything there tastes fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we basically, I mean, to a little bit of context, the old city where we were staying, it's not that big. You can walk end to end in probably like an hour or so.
Even less than
probably
30 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many little hidden places that you can find, and a lot of nice churches and plazas that you can hang out in that are very nice. But it's not that big of an area. So we kind of got a big chunk of it done. I mean, we did like one touristy thing towards the end of the trip and went and saw the Castile.
Yeah.
But like, it's just a chill trip. A lot of walking around and stuff. And then we decided on a day to be our like rest day.
Yeah.
And that was not the case.
No. Yeah.
No.
We didn't really talk too much about the other people who were with us for this trip.
Yes. I'm trying to find the most gracious way to do this because it's kind of a tale of two trips.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It was enormously divergent. I agree.
That's such a good way to put it, because it's like we had one trip and then it took a complete turn, and then it's like we had a completely separate trip.
Yeah. So I guess maybe our third or fourth day.
We're there for like a week.
Yeah. Essentially, it marked like a halfway point in our trip.
Yeah, and I remember the Sunday being, it was Sunday.
Yes.
I remember this is when what had happened. I remember that kind of being like, kind of makes sense. That's our lazy day. Sunday is usually a lazy day anyway.
We fully, like the night before, like tomorrow's just going to be a chill day.
Yeah.
We'll like go out for food and
Gonna
stuff.
do nothing.
Yeah. Just going to hang around here. We got the pool. We get the supermarket was like a block away, so we could like load up on beer and booze and stuff like that. And we started the morning. We got our coffee made. And then a turn came.
Yeah. Where did that come through from?
I initially thought it was either I thought it was through Moses at first. Nick, were you involved in that first?
Who was getting the text message?
Yeah,
I was way more involved than I ever
wanted.
Or should have been, considering you knew her the least.
So,
other than Kristina, like, there's a lot of other places she could have went first.
No.
Well, also at the same time, like service was at like because I didn't have service in my phone. So I was completely out of the
Oh,
equation.
okay, that makes sense. Because I think it was
she
just
might
me
have-
and
so-
Nicolette that had service.
And we needed you, Dan.
Well, I mean, I dove on the grenade
He
later.
showed up later.
Yeah.
Dan was the MVP there. So the backstory here is I mean basically what went down. We were hanging out with like Katie and her boyfriend Archie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the first part of the trip.
They are our friends that met us
That was
there.
lovely.
They did
Yeah,
not
these are
travel with
friends,
us.
yeah.
They met us there.
Well, this was the first time we were meeting Archie.
Yeah.
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 Katie's an old friend.
Katie's
Yeah,
an
Katie's
old
He's a
friend
very old friend, yeah.
to some of us, and
Yeah.
Archie
And then,
was just brand new to everyone.
Yeah. And then I guess this text message came through and something went to shit while they were on their part. Well, they were on their Colombia tour.
On their way
You know?
home
They were
basically.
to where the hotel.
Well,
Where was the hotel? Like,
so they were
staying-
staying in Boca Grande, if I remember correctly. They were a good amount of ways from us. They would like Uber or taxi over to meet up with
30
us.
minutes easy. The
Yeah.
traffic.
Oh, so it
the
was
traffic
like
in the
well over a
city.
couple of miles. away.
Yeah.
I can say because we'll get into that part. It was not 30 minutes to get from where we were to
It was
their
probably
hotel.
40 for you, yeah.
No, I was not in that. I was
it
not
less?
in that. Yeah, it was definitely less. It felt like,
wow.
it felt like 10, 15 minutes, if anything.
Oh,
I
fair
think
enough.
walking
Yeah.
and
I was gonna say, it
walking.
depends.
Oh,
yeah, that makes more sense.
I
yeah.
was thinking with the traffic because
Oh,
the
yeah.
traffic is so bad.
Oh, well, you got to
okay.
walk with
All
the
right.
traffic.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So, I mean, to kind of give a little bit of backstory, Katie and her boyfriend or whatever
Boyfriend.
are
Paramore.
they're both people in recovery, which is going to lead heavily into what comes next. How do you even say it? So, can I just spill the beans on it?
I think just spill the beans.
Yeah. So,
Not a lot of people listen to this. Go ahead.
yeah. But it's like
Don't dime us out,
I'm
Nick.
trying to be fair. It's like Katie's boyfriend decided to use
Yeah.
cocaine.
Aside from coffee and chocolate, Colombia is also known for cocaine.
Yeah.
That's the part of it, and I feel like we're like the what do they call it? The carriage in front of the horse. or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
I'm trying to find a bet, and I'm just stumbling over the best way to even start
I just
this.
want to dive into it
Yeah.
because, like, obviously, we're talking about a story of somebody relapsing because they chose to go to Colombia.
Yeah.
and the relationship that was intertwined with that. I was asked multiple times before these people joined in the trip. I got the phone calls and what have you, and I was asked, "Is there cocaine there?" And I'm like, "Fuck yes, fuck yes."
Is it
there's
in
cocaine
existence? Yeah,
Yeah.
there's cocaine
there.
there.
And then the next question was like, "Will it be offered?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, it will be." And I like, and honestly, like, I feel ashamed as a half Colombian that I have yet to do cocaine here. which
Isn't that wild?
Oh my god! And next time we go, I have to. I feel like my father is upset with me from the grave, and he was never even into it.
Right.
But all of these questions were put forth, and I answered them, legitimately. And then, like, and this person, chose to the gentleman of the lady friend, chose to make this journey. And then everybody, like, it was amazing. It's like when this relapse that we're all like alluding to, discussing, when this happened, there was like a level of shock that happened from this other side. And it's like, why? It's Colombia. I mean, literally, the reason the people travel there is to do blow. And like, you get there, and then like your boyfriend or your whatever, I don't know. To me, it was
Whatever,
like,
yeah.
it was shocking. It was quite unnerving. And I know I'm stealing your thunder here a little bit, but Moses, you were, I hear the thunder outside.
No, here it comes.
You said that the only thing that upset you is that he didn't share.
Yeah.
And I
It
do
was a
kind of
little
feel
rude.
that way.
It was a little rude.
Yeah.
It's just like we'll get into more of a linear way of describing what happened because especially day one of this was insane.
Yeah.
Oh, they got a little scared of my candy because they wanted Sour Patch Kids, and I just had a bag full of edibles. And I said,
Oh.
yeah, same thing.
Oh,
Well, it was just a bag full of
Why do
Sour
they
Patch.
want Sour
you just
Patch?
made that
I don't
more
know,
work
like-
than it was
They-
necessary.
They're like, oh, are these sour? Like, can I have some of these Sour Patch Kids? I'm
Yeah,
like,
so,
sure.
Like they've been hanging out with us and everything's been fine.
No, they were delightful to hang
Yeah.
out with. Yeah, absolutely. I adore Katie
Yeah.
and the boyfriend or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I had a nice conversation with him about footballs, and that was
I thought that he was very entertaining.
Yeah.
He had a good demeanor about him. And
Yeah,
what
he
have
fit
you,
in
you
with
know?
us very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to say.
Yeah, I thought it was very nice, actually.
Yeah, he was wonderful.
But what ended up happening is that when this news broke, she essentially had a meltdown.
Yeah.
And so
And then we went to the most magical place on earth.
Well, we'll get to that.
yeah,
We went to Disney? Was I
Yes.
there?
Yeah, they had pirates and magic.
Settle.
Oh, I can't. I'm excited.
so we had to go like try to wrangle her because she was in a very dark place.
Yeah.
So we chose the mall. That
The
was
mall
a pretty
right across the street. It's a big
straightforward
landmark.
thing.
Easy, yeah.
Fancy mall.
And I had been on a trip. I went down to closer to where she lives down in Florida the year prior, and like we did a whole like road trip to Tampa Bay and back to where she lives. So I got along with her, and I figured when all of this news started to break, Nick, Kristina, barely know her, Justin,
I hadn't seen her in about 10 years.
Pete, you're not good at this.
No, you're right.
Straight up.
Feelings.
Yeah, feelings are
Feelings.
yeah.
I've heard of these, and I exhibit them very properly. Yes.
And Moses, you are somehow worse than Pete at this.
Well, I'm all about what she wants to get into because, like, who cares?
So I chose. Well, I felt compelled to dive on the
You
grenade
absolutely
and make sure that, like, if anybody has to bear the brunt of what's going to come forward, it's going to be me.
You were her rock.
You
Yeah.
bodied
You
that
were.
grenade.
So I did a number of things to try and help her out. I gave her my room, my nice little isolated room in the Airbnb.
And then we were real Liberty
Yeah,
buddies.
then we were real Liberty buddies because what we neglected to mention before is that your room had 2 beds.
Yes. And I needed both of them, but
If you looked at it, he did.
I was trying to help her as best as I could, and one of those things was eventually, and we'll skip. We're not going to skip past the next part, but was actually helping her to get her shit together in her hotel room. But first things first is that when somebody's freaking out and we're all hungry, so we're not going to be any good to anybody for we're all just hungry and becoming irritable.
All had most of us had just black coffee on an empty stomach at this point.
Very hungry.
I
We
had
were
a
all
couple-
very
Hungry
I had a
was an
couple edibles.
understatement.
There was hangry going
I don't think
on.
that I've ever been so hungry.
Yes.
But also at the same time, when you're in that kind of state,
She was in a manic episode.
yeah, like the way I described it to you guys, it's like, I know this woman's never seen war before, but it seems like she just saw all of her friends lose all of their limbs in a car bomb in freaking downtown Basra.
Yeah.
Like, she's just shaking and trying to smoke a cigarette.
She was in rough shape.
Yeah. And that was just kind of like, to me, I'm like, all right, now I gotta really, really be nice and do what I gotta
Dan's
do.
taking her aside, and he's really supporting her and giving her everything that he can. And the rest of us are standing around a corner, what do we do?
yeah, when can we eat?
Yeah.
I was pretty much singularly focused on keeping my lady
Yes.
as content as I could given the situation.
Yeah.
I felt like you had your shit together,
Yeah.
Mr. Justin.
We were trying. I mean, it was everything was a big question mark at this moment
Yeah.
because we went from chill day to very much not chill.
You never
day.
know what the good Lord's going to give you.
The opposite of chill day.
Yeah.
So we had all decided that we were going to get something to eat, and we were in the mall. So there's a place right there, Applebee-ish, especially
It's called El Applebee's.
I was calling it Columbia's.
Oh, that's better.
Columbia's good.
It was
And
because it had a Q in it, which makes
It
it
did.
very weird.
But
Yeah.
I don't. Was it a Q?
Yeah,
I
The way
believe
it was
is.
written,
Yeah,
like-
no,
Q.
yeah.
There was
I couldn't tell-
interpretation. It was up for interpretation.
Yes.
Well, there was a Q.
Yeah.
We specifically chose it because it was a place that would be easy for her to get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was certainly not our first choice.
No,
This
it was
mall
proximity.
was
It
this
was
mall
proximity.
was fucking ostentatious. Yeah.
We were all very hungry.
Very hungry.
And this is what makes it so much funnier now, because we are in the situation where we're in a very real circumstance.
Yeah.
But we go inside, and this place, it's hard to describe in a
is.
certain way
It is.
because
It's like Tortuga meets Applebee's.
there's so much goofy shit on the walls. It's really it seemed like there was a dance floor /
Stage.
concert stage.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
there was a
It looked
fucking
like they
movie
had their own
screen.
band.
everything is lit in red and rosy light.
Yeah.
There are character actors
Yeah.
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 wandering around dressed as pirates.
Pirates.
And minstrels
Oh, yeah, there was a
of some
pirate,
sorts.
By the way, I am oblivious to all of this.
No, you're 100% in.
I think we all are.
Yeah. I was just so like, she needed to be like, first of all, she needed to be escorted to the bathroom. That's like the kind of like mental state that she was in. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna help. Like, no, like we'll get you some water. We'll do this. We'll do that. So like all of this, like the only thing that I noticed was the stage, the dance floor, and then there was like a projector screen.
Yeah.
And to be clear too, like I checked in with Dan. I don't know Katie all that well, but Dan's my dude. I know that Dan had to help Katie, and it was not easy for him. I remember checking in with Dan. Dude, how are you? I know that like she's not okay, but dude, how are you? And he was not okay. Like it was rough for him. And then we walk into this like circus of a restaurant.
Yeah.
No, Dan's fine. If you watch him saw through his wrists.
So tensions are very high. We get in, we get sat at a table, and then we sit there for about an hour.
For
Oh my God. I felt
It was probably like a half hour, but that's fucking forever when you're hungry.
It was the
and in a
longest
restaurant
half hour
seated.
of my life.
It was, I think that it was actually closer to 40 minutes. That might have been in my mind.
Whatever, yeah.
If I may jump in at this point.
Yep.
You may, but also at the same time, what I believe you're about to tell in the story, our friend Katie, because she's having this meltdown, had just taken her medication to try
Ativan.
She took like an Ativan.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. So at this point, we get this gentleman who walked up to the table, and there's only one free seat, which is open. There's 7 of us, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Since
He
the
also
boyfriend's
has
not there.
that thing that the like a waiter or waitress would have, like the
Oh, yeah, he
they
had,
would
like, a
put the
little book
bill,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, he's got like a little fold of some
Yeah.
And
sort
he
like
has that in his hand,
Yeah.
so
So the free seat is right next to Miss Katie.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at the opposite end, and he walks up and he says, "Is this seat free?" And I speak the best Spanish.
Yep.
It's not great, but I speak it. And so I go, "Yes, the seat is free." And then he says something to me, and he was like, "Do you know about?" And then he says a word that I don't know, which in hindsight I did know.
Yeah.
probably magic.
But yeah. And I was like, I don't get what you're saying. And he goes, "Do you speak English?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Do you like magic?" And the mood completely shifts. It felt like my world turned a little bit upside down in that moment. And it turns out this man was not a waiter, but a magician who was there to entertain us until a waiter arrived. Which honestly, pay fucking waiters, not magicians.
No, like I'm like, oh, all right, get through your magic shit and then take my order.
I think we
I
all
thought he
thought
was the
that.
same. I thought they were the same person.
Here's the thing, at least from my perspective. Dan's sitting on the end, Katie's sitting across from me, and she's having her truly manic episode. This empty seat is in the middle of the table right next to her.
Yeah.
And this is where this guy pulls up into.
Yeah.
And this guy pulls up. He walks up. He's got the little fold thing in his hand.
Yeah.
We're all so excited. We've been waiting for so long. Tensions are high. Like this thing going on over here is
Some sort of
incredibly tense.
normalcy.
And it's just like, oh my God, we're going to be able to order food.
Yeah.
And then the magic conversation
I don't know if
happened.
you
And then-
guys like.
It was the Red Bulls.
I don't know if you guys got to see, like, obviously we all had like different views
Yes.
of what happened,
Yeah.
right? But from my angle,
We've never unpacked this, so
And
this
this
is
like,
is
good.
yeah.
fair.
I like this is legit, right? So at the moment that he revealed that he was a magician, I think he pulled out like 3 Red Bulls.
Yes, he
or
did.
some
Yeah,
bullshit.
yes.
But Katie, I was sitting like adjacent to her from the opposite side, so like I don't know if anybody really got.
I was staring
This-
right in her face.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking right
She
at her too.
looked at me, and it was like that cat meme, the shocked cat,
Yeah.
where it's a cat that just like has wide eyes and like drops his jaw and just like goes, and that's what I saw.
She literally
and
said,
I like looked.
"Am
right
I
into her
tripping?"
eyes.
Am I,
Like,
I
he
just took my
starts-
Ativan.
Yeah.
Am I tripping?
He
Yeah.
starts doing his trick, and he's like, he asked me to like blow on his hand because he does his
He
ball
asked
trick.
her to do
He
something
asked
too.
her.
He
He
asked her
somebody
first,
else,
yeah.
and then he asks her, and it's like I know he has no idea the gravity of the situation.
He's
But
he's
he
kind
was,
of
it was
behind
just
her.
so bizarre knowing the gravity of the situation and seeing this happen.
It
It's
was-
like I am in an episode of fucking Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that is what is going on, and then she's like, "Am I tripping?" And I'm like,
I think
I don't
that-
know if I'm.
And then
not."
she blows on his fist.
She goes along with the act because what are you gonna do?
Yeah. I think that for myself, very genuinely, I think that of all of the times that a magician could show up into your fucking life. You're in another country and you're dealing with like what at the time is a horrible breakup, and like all of this shit is going down. And you're having your full meltdown as it was described. And in this moment where you feel so vulnerable and you like just need to get something to eat, and that's all that you need. And then like this person shows up and they're going to feed you and you're going to be okay and everything's fine. And then it's just a magician. That is the coolest fucking twist
He's
that's
not the
ever
waiter
happened.
we wanted. He's the waiter we deserve.
Yeah. And it's like, and I feel bad because I love Katie so much, but it's like I watched that and there was a part of me that was like, fuck yes. Like this is what I wanted to happen. Yeah.
I was looking at her and I saw her reality just break.
Oh yeah.
Like this can't be fucking real.
I honestly like a part
was
of me felt like
remarkable.
I was imagining it. It was just
I was like when she asked, "Am I tripping?" I'm like, I don't know if I'm not.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you were the last person to ask that question.
and what are the
fuck?
goddamn odds where it's like, I mean, again, like it's one of those things where it's like, you know, just like a fucking magician at a fucking random fucking restaurant in a mall in Colombia where like half of the people have never fucking been before.
There
and you're
is
dealing
a-
with personal trauma.
There is a real question to be asked, like, why the fuck is this a thing at all, regardless of the circumstances we
know.
were dealing
Yeah.
with it? Why is that a thing?
Didn't one of us say like that better be like a glass of liquor coming out of one of those red balls?
Oh
or
yeah,
something like
I
that?
think so.
There
We
was.
took so
I
long.
was talking mad shit.
Yeah.
Not for nothing. Like I was actually like hangry, and I
Yeah.
try to be very respectful because I know that like even though I love to be Colombian, I feel like a guest in that country.
Yeah.
But I was like also not in the mood for his bullshit because I do not like magicians. So I was talking shit about him and what have you, and I feel like everybody
It
else
was
is
just
tossing
so
around.
wildly surreal.
Yeah.
Surreal.
I'm gonna be so honest. After he did the magic with Katie,
God.
and then he moved on
And
to
they
me.
walked away. Oh, you won't. That's right.
No, he
That's
moved,
it. That's
he
right.
moved on to me, and I was super excited about it. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of embarrassing.
He was a
But
good magician.
He was like, "Open your hand," and then there was a red ball in my hand, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And like, I was super pumped. So I hope that I gave him the reaction and experience
That's
that he
what he
wanted.
gets paid the big bucks
Yeah.
for.
Hey, I was just thinking about that because, like, he had to have been looking at us, and we were all looking at Katie for her reaction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were all kind of catering to her as we were sitting, and like just in whatever manner you can. You know,
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
oh, that's
Also, I think that she was like visibly, like audibly sobbing. So I'm confused as
Yeah.
to why he was like, "That's my
This-
victim."
I think he was just because he was a little bit behind her. I don't think he could see her face.
Yeah.
He had moved on to me at some point. Like he had done.
Oh, yeah.
He did something to me, but I am like I'm that
you kind of
person.
shut that down. Real quick.
I'm that person at the like hibachi place where it's like I want the food. I don't need the show. Do not get. Don't get.
no
I don't,
volcanoes.
Don't. No volcano. Don't give me the
Don't
volcano.
throw no shrimp at me.
Exactly
no
right.
volcano.
No sake in my face. No volcano. Like I don't need it. Give me the food. And so once I found out he was not going to take my order, I wanted
She
him
was
to
done.
go away ASAP. And so like he did some magical thing to me. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
He
you
did
were
it.
not. You
There
were
was
not
some
having
ball
it.
that appeared in my hands too, and I was like, all right, cool. Like not impressed. Are you gonna take my order kind of thing? Like, no, get out of
Can
my
I eat
face.
this?
Right?
Is this an appetizer?
Yeah, I'm mentally like 7 years old. So when I opened my hand and there was a red ball in it that I didn't know about, I
This
was
is life-changing.
I was super fucking excited. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of embarrassing.
He
But
could have put a shrimp in my hand. That would have been great.
Honestly,
That would have been the better trip.
I would have been way more excited if that happened.
That's actually.
So
that's
yeah,
actually
okay.
really
So the magician comes and really makes something of it.
Flips everything on its side.
Yeah.
And then I feel like it was another half hour before we ordered food.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it
Yeah,
took
it was,
goddamn
it was
forever.
long time.
I have to be so honest though.
I think I ordered
That
2
was
meals.
some of the best food I've ever eaten in my life, not because it was good, but
Because it was
because I was
necessary.
so
Oh
fucking hungry. He has a video of me dancing while I'm eating.
I
I'm
do
eating
have that
and
video,
I was like
yeah.
this. while I was eating because I was just, it felt like the best reward in the entire world after everything that we had been through.
Get that footage.
I was like, Dan.
Yeah, you
we'll
have the
talk later.
footage? Yeah.
I was, and honestly, sweetheart, this is very legit. I was becoming increasingly concerned. Like, I was very happy to make fun of Katie's situation, and the magician was great. And I was like sometimes making eyes at you guys.
Yeah.
I don't think that I really looked at you, Kristina, because you scare me sometimes when you're angry.
Fair.
But like, I was genuinely concerned for my safety because I saw how upset you were getting about the wait for food.
Yeah.
And that was real. That was very earned.
That was
But
so temperatures were high with the vibe going on with the obvious situation.
Yeah.
Temperatures were very high
Yeah.
with the hunger.
I was like, at some
situation.
point, maybe
I think the
it's
hunger
just
was
like the
higher
guys
than the-
leave. And the women make their way back to America, and we just live in the jungles now. And that's like the life that we have. It was a scary moment for a while. But then the food arrived, and everybody was better.
There were a lot of eyes being darted around, like, what is happening?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of eye contact and body language, no words.
Yeah.
The entire theme of that restaurant was very confusing.
Magical pirate love
Yeah.
shack?
Yeah.
I was going to
There
say
were
Applebee's,
pirates.
but
Yes,
there were pirates.
lots of pirates.
I had to go to the restroom, and I passed by, and there was a high top table of two women of indeterminate origin.
Okay.
But there was a guy dressed as a pirate with a bottle of rum,
Yeah, that
just
one.
like resting upon it.
He was just walking
And-
around talking to the bottle.
He wasn't talking to these people. Like he was just,
no,
like, there was
not people.
two
The
top-
bottle. He was
he was
Jack
talking to
Sparrowing
them, yeah.
this motherfucker.
No.
It sounds
That's what
like
I
a
get.
pretty good job. From
Well,
Yeah, I can't imagine.
to jump to when we were leaving, they were having a hiring call. There was like 80 people in line.
Oh, yeah.
We passed it when we were going to the airport.
Yeah.
nobody told me. I would have stayed.
Found a new life.
You open it up here.
I'm a pirate now.
Pirates, us pirates, walking to rum bottles. That sounds great
I mean,
for
that does
us.
sound nice. We could bring the cats.
That's what I'm saying.
Pirate
Yeah.
cats.
Oh,
Cat pirates?
cat pirates.
Okay, we need to. You guys are cute, but like,
So from there, I think we come to the moment where
yes,
she decides that she's gonna go and at least go back to the hotel and get her shit and talk to him. Excuse me.
yeah.
And listen, the dude is the size of a linebacker.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know what kind
He's
of
a big
mental-
guy.
yeah.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind. First of all, I don't even know why I thought I was going to make any sort of difference in this scenario. I am 5'7" in shoes.
You were doing
We
the right
all
thing.
told you that too.
I
You've
was
got a
worried
lot of
for you.
moxie, Dan. You've got a lot of
It's like,
moxie.
Dan, just take a
But-
nap or soak.
But at least the idea, I think you did tell me to take several soaks.
Yeah, just take a soak. Like, what the fuck are you gonna
But
do?
the idea is that, like, no, she needs help. So somebody's got to go with her, because if she goes by herself, who knows what the fuck's going to happen. So I go with her. And, like, you're the last person I see. Like, I get in the cab. You're like, oh, you're going? And I'm like, and you're like, good luck.
Sounds like me.
I did get frustrated because at one point we go in there was a bar, and it was like a beacon in the night. I just like, can I just wait here? I think she even said, like, you can wait here. But I'm like, then what was the fucking point of me coming here?
Right.
Yeah, well, that's what we were saying too, Dan.
Yeah, that's
Like,
on you.
before you
Yeah.
left.
You are
We
the
said
knight
the
in
same
shining
thing.
armor
Yeah.
type of dude.
I
I
understand
get
that.
why you
and
did it, but
I got
don't
my
understand why you did it.
I got my comeuppance in some shape, way, or form, because when I got there, first of all, no signal. I tried to use it.
Yeah.
Verizon lied to me. They said I had one day, and
Yep.
like never told me how to trigger it. I thought just using the damn
He
phone
kept
to
saying
trigger it.
from the beginning of the trip, "Oh, I got like a free day.
Yeah.
I just have to activate it."
Yeah.
And well,
And that didn't work. Nothing worked. So I was given clear instructions to wait at the top of these steps while she goes down to the room. And then I'm wondering at the top of the steps, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, it was kind of like that moment of like clairvoyance. Like, I actually can sit and think for fucking 2 seconds.
Well, what
And
the fuck? Moses was
You're like,
right.
oh my god,
like,
is
how
this
did
guy
this
gonna beat
happen?
my ass?
I was like, well, first of all, he could be beating her ass right the fuck now.
Yeah. Why are you? Yeah.
Yeah, and
What's
like,
the point in you going?
yeah, what's the point of me going? And then the other thing too is, even if I were to hear something and somehow burst through the door,
Right.
Yeah.
I am still getting choke slammed onto the table.
You've used all your energy getting through that hotel door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that I was rationalizing is that when he's beating the shit out of you, she can get away.
Yeah.
That was it.
There you go.
That was my one rational.
Not for nothing. That dude was a linebacker.
I don't know, Dan.
It probably
I think
wouldn't
He
have
had like
taken
a
him
full
much time.
foot on me.
Yeah, easily. He had a foot on me, and I've got a foot on you.
We also
that was 2 feet.
we also know that he wasn't a violent guy.
Yeah.
We would not have let
I
him
know, he's a
go
sweetheart.
without knowing that this dude is not like
All this is
Yeah.
coming from the height and
The height and, like,
yeah,
emotion
he's a big
and stuff
guy,
like-
yeah.
Height and emotion.
Dan is knight in shining armor.
Yeah.
We were not gonna let him go knowing
You
if
also-
that was gonna happen.
You also don't know what somebody's mental state in that situation will be.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I wasn't expecting it, but I was also like, well, prepare for the worst, hope for the best, expect the worst.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, all right, well, hopefully she'll just walk out and everything will
Right.
be fine, and she'll just get some of her shit and we'll go back to the freaking Airbnb and she'll take my room.
We already know he is high on cocaine.
Yeah.
So what makes you think you're going to beat this 6 foot man?
No, I think
Victory respect, but he's high on cocaine now. There's no beating him.
Victory was never about winning; it was about escaping.
I'll say this though, even before you said that, Moses,
he's going to beat Katie with you.
I legitimately imagine, and we've known each other a long time, Dan, and I know that you don't dabble in these types of drugs,
Yeah.
but I did absolutely imagine a fucking what's his name, fucking Popeye scenario where Dan just has like an old can of cocaine, like from the 40s, and it's like been completely sealed,
good.
and he just like squeezes it, and it's just like the Popeye cartoon.
Found it in a dark
where it
corner
goes
on
up
his
into
old
the
ship.
air, and it fucking does like a little loop-de-loop,
His
and he
nose
just takes it
widens
all
up.
right into his nose, right, and then he just like beats the shit out of fucking like 8 men.
And then he's just Dan the Sailor Man.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we just ride home to America on Dan's shoulder.
Yeah, he just fucking like he just huffs it.
Oh my goodness gracious! Spinach was the last thing that I would need
Yeah.
on this trip. The absolute last thing that I could possibly have used this scenario. So everything was cool there.
Yeah.
She actually told me like, "Oh, you can go," and I'm like, I didn't realize that this was not a tag team
when
situation
you
anymore.
came back solo, we were like, interesting.
You,
Yeah.
you did it quick too.
Yeah.
We actually anticipated you coming back a lot later
Yeah.
than you actually
Oh,
did.
you were
Once you
yeah,
walked
it
in
was.
the door, we were very happy that it didn't take as long as we had anticipated. We were very like, yay, Dan is
like,
back.
I don't know, because like time is slippery when you're drinking and things are weird.
Yeah.
But it felt like you were only gone like an hour and a half, maybe
It
2
wasn't
hours.
too
Something.
bad.
Yeah.
And some of that was that commute.
I feel like
Yeah.
it was a lot longer than that, but
It also just be like everything was so tense. So also too like you got like no one was doing anything. You guys were all just in the kitchen waiting for me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, am I in trouble?
It felt like a
No, we
moment
wanted
of
to
like,
go to
when will
dinner.
my husband return from war?
It was one of those.
Hello, Dan. Where have you been?
Like,
Gallivanting around with
no,
Katie.
fighting for America.
Floozy of an opponent of yours? Haven't
Well,
you? Haven't you?
whereas you
Okay,
went
me.
along with her, like we went back to the Airbnb, and it's like we all kind of like went into discussion mode of like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Because like we were all just along for the ride, and like no one wants to say anything because she was right there.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, obviously, because the highs and lows were wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when we got back, and like you had gone, and we went back to like went back. You can barely even say went back. We walked 15 feet across the
Yeah.
street to the Airbnb. But then that's when we got to like sit down and like and
Digest.
digest
Yeah.
the past 5 hours.
Yes, significant things happened, and we were all too hungry to care. Like we knew they were happening. We were like, "Oh, we got to deal with this," but not now because I want to eat.
So-
I feel like in some ways that was like a revisiting of even the initial journey to get to the airport.
Yeah.
Where
In a
it was
way.
one of those
In a way,
scenarios
yeah.
where I just felt like that whole conversation was unfolding, and my contribution was, it's fine, everything's fine. You know what, Moses? Maybe let's have another tequila together.
It was shortly thereafter that we started breaking into the bottles of tequila.
Yes, yeah, you two. Yeah, you two were freaking polishing off the tequila bottles for sure. I don't think much happened the rest of that day. She came back, she took the room.
Yeah.
We're sort of winding down. I think this is our last full day in Colombia. We go to the Castile. You, sir, are just on another planet.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
there's so
You
many
were-
pictures of you napping.
Well, because he naps in such an interesting way.
I'm a sleepy boy, and I eat a lot of edibles.
I'm a sleepy person too. I just do it in
Appropriate places.
Yeah, appropriate places.
I'm sorry.
appropriate times.
Anywhere I want to sleep is an appropriate place.
No, I respect you for that.
Oh no, you
I'm asleep
there are
when I
pictures
sleep.
of you napping at the Castile.
Yeah.
That was a big hike up that hill.
I mean, it was kind of a big hike, yeah. But
Like-
I don't know if it was nap-worthy hike, though.
Dan, waking up is a nap worthy
There's like
hike.
fucking like armed security guards who are escorting other homeless people out from the perimeter, and then Moses is there sleeping at the top of the castle, and like no one knows how to handle this situation. Is he an American? Is he not? Is he
Nobody's made it
homeless?
to the top.
We went to the chocolate museum after that.
That's
that
true.
was actually really cool.
That was cool.
I enjoyed
It was
that.
super air conditioned in
That
there.
was-
It was. It was
Yeah.
nice. A nice break.
Yeah, that was very nice. It was probably a nice pick me up after I upset you ladies with the salty mango.
That's right.
Oh.
Justin.
Salty
Oh, you got one of those
mango.
out of
Oh,
the-
he told me because he's been to
cat.
Colombia for so long. He's told me about the mango.
Mango
with the
con
salt.
sol.
Yeah, see, and I was so excited. I took a bite. Made a face. Oh, I couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle it at all. No,
It was
thank
like
you.
it was like
Sweetness.
1% mango, 99%.
He did go heavy on the salt.
Wow.
He did go heavy on the salt.
Thank
there
you,
was
Nick,
a cat
because
guarding the ice chest.
Oh, there
on
were
one of those.
so many cats.
He was just resting up there, and they're like, "Yeah, you can buy."
I have a thing about stray cats, so
Oh,
no, thank
he was
you.
adorable. I think he was an orange. He
But
was adorable.
so yeah, I mean, basically with Katie's situation, that was the height of it. It in some ways complicated the rest of our trip. Dan had to give up his room and then bunk up with his Liberty
I
buddy.
had to give up my room.
No, you had to share your room, you son of a bitch.
Same thing.
And Moses snores.
And oh my God, let me tell you about
I told
Moses
you
I
about
knew
Snorer.
that
once
before.
I said that you were just gonna go off.
I said that from the beginning.
So, yes, but I didn't understand what. First of all, there's snoring, and then there's you snoring.
Yeah.
I literally tried to fall asleep with like hearing protection in my ears, like the little like foamy, like whatever the hell, like, you know, earplugs. That was not good enough for you.
Grow up.
He's like a fucking whale with a shot.
And so I've had to put on these pair of headphones with music playing, and it was still able to at least cut off most of what you were doing. And I was like, I hope there's no lull. And first of all, I can't sleep for fuck anyway. So I had to put like classical music on, like compositions on, because
Oh, you
that's
should have
the
put
only
that on
shot.
stereo. I would have enjoyed that.
I just picture it like Paranormal Activity, where it's like if you could do that like fast forward footage, where it's just Moses snoring all night and Dan is just hovering over him, staring at him blankly.
There were a few moments that I was contemplating it.
Honestly, nobody would have missed him.
But
You'd be the first.
so the next day we go to the Steel, go to the chocolate factory, and then we go back to the Airbnb. Moses decides to sleep for essentially the rest of the day. I am not exaggerating. He
Like
fell
24 hours.
like Garfield. Just maybe got up to pee and then goes back to sleep.
Every time I walked past because his doors were wide open, he was in a wildly different and perplexing.
Oh, man. You
think we all
remember that?
photos of that.
Dude, we took photos of that.
Yeah.
He was like hanging from the ceiling at one point. It was absurd.
At one point, you were like wedged into the corner, and you had
Yeah.
like one leg up. In
Oh
the
yeah,
air.
the one leg in the air.
The
I
one
know
leg in the air was
exactly.
great.
And then like we went and got
it was
lunch.
like higher up in the air than you are in height. It was shocking.
We went and got lunch and came back, and then he was like perfectly tucked in.
Yeah.
So we was like, was the maintenance guy here and
Oh,
tuck him
yeah.
in?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very similar to
I got one of those cocaine dealers to put me to bed.
very similar to the episode that we were talking about your guys' wedding.
Yeah.
He had somehow swaddled himself like a baby. It was it's
really-
a skill that he has somehow.
I don't know how he does it. Yeah.
It's
and
honestly
Moses, that's-
very adorable.
It is.
It's like
called-
amazing because it's really like it's one of these like
We should do a short one time.
for
I'll
the
tell you how to
listener,
do it.
It is legitimately like when you like tuck somebody in and you use your fingertips to like get the blanket just behind their body, right? They're just like laying there like stiff as a board kind of scenario.
It's called the
And-
whirlwind.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck you do that. And honestly, I don't want to know. I'm more curious though.
I feel like our shared Colombia pictures are of Moses.
part.
Yeah.
Moses, in particular, sleeping.
You
Yeah,
guys
I have a lot of
should
pictures.
have seen the country. Like, it's beautiful.
No, it is shameful, but I think half my pictures, which I didn't take many, but at least half of them are Moses sleeping in different
At least
positions.
you've been there once before.
So we go to lunch. Nothing too remarkable happens there.
No.
Although it is the turning point for old Dan.
Yeah.
Because I share a bite of I guess it was a raw raw piece of steak or whatever the heck it was, medium rare. Medium rare, excuse me. I have a little piece of that. We go back to the Airbnb. Pete, you and Justin and Nick go see your family.
Yes.
Kristina, I think you're taking a nap as well. And so I'm just left to my devices and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go to the beach. Then I have a conversation with Katie about what she's doing next. Won't go too much into that on the podcast, but it was essentially a responsibility that I was given that I was still trying to.
Katie became a full-time member of the household.
Yes.
And just understand that.
I was there for that.
Full-time
Just laying
job.
on the couch. You went to bed. They went to your.
I really hope that we can get Katie on the podcast at some point to tell her version of this ridiculous story, and then we can really dive into it.
Yeah.
That would be a.
Meanwhile, during this, only reason I bring it up is because the entire time I'm talking to her, I am shoveling Tums and the peppermint pills that I given to you, Nick.
You can suck on it halfway, but then it's mine.
Did you get those back from her? Though?
No, I threw him back up and gave him to baby birded it, if you will.
Baby birded it.
The things we missed.
And so at one point she's like, am I giving you indigestion? And I'm like, no, but something was.
Something is.
And so for the rest of that evening and the rest of the trip and the rest of the week, old Dan had a case of traveler's stomach. I was hoping I had gone into full-blown fetal position in the bed, thinking this will be fine in the morning. This just sucks right now. It was not fine in the morning.
I have been there because you get
Thanks
to a
for
point.
not waking me.
Well, not to be gross about it, but everything is out of your body.
Yeah.
There's no more you can do that way.
Yeah.
But your body is just cramping and crushing on itself, and it's just it's awful.
Circling back to all of the things. What could have sparked this? What could have done this? As if it was a mystery that I needed to solve. I think I heard you when you came up. Of course, Dan's sick.
I think you were cramping in our bedroom at that point, and me and you were out there. And I was like, yeah, Dan's not doing so well. And you're like, oh, I can't believe that's happening.
As if he didn't just give himself 3 ulcers.
Yeah.
Those were concrete walls, but you could still hear.
Yeah. Especially with your volume. It is kind of funny, too, because not to rewind too much, but I think it was the Saturday that we're there. Everyone has jam except me, except old Dan. So I go up and I'm like, listen, I'm calling it an early night. I'm just going to go up to the bedroom and fall asleep. Meanwhile, the entire city of Cartagena.
Oh, that was the night that we actually have video of that. And if
he's done finally sick.
I have the video of that from the rooftop, all the fireworks and stuff. I'll probably send it over. Maybe we'll make a post if we do something like
might
that.
as well use that footage. Yeah.
But to sort of kind of wrap up, the trip, we can go over some of the, leaving the country. I was pretty certain that I was going to die. I'm not gonna have any fluids left. Thank God I'm with friends because at least one might be able to put a bullet in my brain and relieve this guy.
What better place to die than Cartagena?
You were truly in survival mode. Absolutely, just I need to get to the closest to the end point as I can.
Yes.
And whatever needs to happen in between will be what needs to happen.
Kristina, you were very helpful because you gave me the the dried pills for Pepto-Bismol.
Mm-hmm.
I think I inhaled all of those in 3 hours.
You did a great job. I honestly talking about it now. I'm like, wow, I didn't even realize the level of which you were at. Truly, you did such a good job of maintaining normalcy.
I was when we got the bus to go back to the airport, I was like, this may not augur well for me. Or the van.
I was going to say, you guys got on a bus?
No, yeah. The Airbnb. The Airbnb. What am I talking about? Not Airbnb. Jesus Christ. I can't think of these
From
things.
the Airbnb.
Uber.
Yeah.
I was like, I know it's only a 15-minute drive to the airport, but I might not make it. Like,
Yeah.
and the last thing that I wanted to do is like, first of all, if I shit myself in front of you or Pete,
Right.
you'd be like, you just make fun of me for the rest of my life. If I shit myself in front of Nick or Kristina, you'd just be like, all respect gone.
We got you, man.
That's not true. I shit myself on.
For
I
fun.
was gonna say daily, weekly, probably.
All the time.
I would be like, Dan, I get it.
I've done it. I'm not proud of it, but it happens.
And so we Uber back to the airport.
Airport, yeah.
Fortunately, Cartagena is a very easy airport
Yeah.
to get through.
Yeah.
But I remember I went to you, Pete. It's like, do you think they have, ginger ale here? They're like, I gotta have it somewhere, and I just go on a mission.
Yeah.
And that becomes the only thing that I drink for the entire rest of the day. Is just feed me goddamn ginger ale. You gave me some ginger gum,
I
Kristina.
think we met you after the after check through
Yeah,
there
yeah.
because you went looking for ginger ales.
Yeah, because I was just like, I got to do something because everything else I've done today has not freaking worked.
It was funny. So, like, through this whole trip, we never used Uber or anything because most everything was, like, walking distance. And, like, even, like, Dan, when you went with Katie and stuff, you used a taxi.
Yeah.
So I'm, like, on the way to the airport, I'm like, oh, I'll check out an Uber. And, like, I got it. And it's, like, it'll be there in 3 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was there before you started doing
I
it.
couldn't finish my coffee.
Yeah. We were like, oh,
It's like 4 of them waiting outside.
Yeah.
because everything was like chill, and we're like, oh, we'll figure this out. And then it was just like, oh, we gotta go. The ones of us that were taking that one particular
The
Uber.
Airbnb turned into a car.
Yeah, but
So we get to the airport.
Uh-huh.
We're waiting in line now for to board the plane.
oh my goodness.
and
Yep.
one of us was trying to blow up the plane or something.
Wasn't me.
Hi, hello.
What a Moses thing to do.
Yeah, I got They probably said my name over the intercom that I did not hear or understand. I got selected for the full service treatment and got whisked away down a hallway. Well, like, we were there. Like, all right. So Kristina and I had by like the package we bought had like I don't know, you call it like primary boarding. We were like group 1 or group 2. or
We're in the
something.
front. We're super early. I'm anxious as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, and so we're like the first people. And then the chick is coming around asking people questions. What's your name? What's your name? What's your name?
Yeah, I wanted to
What's
look at
your
the boarding
name to
pass.
him?
Yeah.
Oh, you come with me.
over here.
Uh-oh.
So myself and from the general area where we were standing in, myself and this schmarmy knockoff Jeff Goldblum character get pulled off, and then like the Cartagena airport's like very nice now and stuff like that, and then like at the further down the hallways we walked, the more like back in time it went.
Yeah. You remember the Civil War?
Yeah, that's another podcast.
You will.
So they just took me. They're like, "You're coming, we're going," and I'm
Next
like,
door
"Okay."
down is a DEA operative.
And like I probably should have been more like communicative with you.
Well, before they took you, they said, you're not going to miss your flight.
Oh yeah,
That to me, that's what I kept replaying in my head.
Mhm.
And then at that point, all I had was Moses. Next to me, I said,
That's not very
all I
comforting.
had was
No.
Moses, and Moses,
I
he's
barely
not going to
seen
miss his
him. It's
flight, right? Like, right?
Yeah.
Every time I was looking for
No,
you.
there was no way. And like, all right, so yeah, I got taken with my my baggage and stuff like that, and we get sat down in a hallway that leads into like an area that we can't see from the hallway, and like people are being called like one at a time into this area that you can't see, and I'm next to this like what I called, and I fully believe it's fully accurate, a knockoff Jeff Goldblum character. And he's just like, oh man, this happens all the time, blah 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 blah. I know how to talk my way out of this. And he goes, because we're essentially in line, there's like 40 people in front of us, and people are losing their minds because everybody thinks they're gonna miss their flight.
Yeah.
You're not gonna miss your flight because they escort you directly onto the plane after this.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like, so we're waiting in line. This dickhead next to me, he goes up and he starts, and this guy is like gringo elite. And he's just like doing this schmarmy fucking talk to like, and like the girl, like she's just smiling at him, blah 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 blah. She put him on like permablast at the end of the line. She's like just straight up threw him to the end of the line, and just everybody that kept coming in was put in front of him. So he might not have made his
He
flight.
probably did. That's what you get.
But eventually I make it through the line. They pull me in, and they just wipe me down top to bottom with all these swabs. like my armpits, my feet, my groin, like everything. They're doing the same thing. They're opening your bag. They're going through everything in your bag and swiping it with swabs. And then they're putting them in one at a time into this machine. And it's like one in, and the girl just smiles at you.
It's like Pizza Hut making a pizza. There's just a conveyor belt of nonsense happening.
And like, I'm not worried I'm going to miss my, I know I'm not going to miss my flight, but like,
But it's making it take
it's
longer.
aggravating. And I know she's probably worried.
I was not sure. I looked at every motherfucker coming on the plane. Well, is that him? Is that him? Even said to you
I
at one
was doing
point,
that
is that
too.
him? No. And then I lost him because we were both sitting there in
I
fucking
think I was
seats.
sitting ahead of you.
And I just sat at the window waiting for you.
Obviously I'm not a plane bomber, and they allow me back so they escort me like out onto the tarmac, onto the plane, up the stairs, all the stuff like that. And I walk on and I can just see Kristina like peering above the seats. And yeah, it was all well and good, but it's annoying. And like, that's the first time, like, I've done a lot of international travel. I've done a lot of travel. First time ever I've been pulled for like that full
So
service.
you didn't get to blow up the plane then?
No.
And meanwhile, I was sitting there chock full of bombs.
Well,
But the whole
if that's not a band name.
Like-
It's my rap name.
people, like at any given time, there was like 60 of us in this narrow
Because that
hallway.
ma-
I think this is the first time I'm hearing this story. I don't.
It was
That makes
weird.
sense.
It makes
I
sense.
feel like
It
you
makes
didn't.
sense,
I
yeah.
feel like, yeah.
Like, just
didn't
seeing you
hear.
get pulled off, I just thought it was just you. Like, I didn't think of
No.
other people being back there at the same time you were getting pulled.
Yeah, no, but it's like, I knew it's just aggravating. And so it's like this whole trip's going on. We've had a couple days of like mixed bag aggravations and stuff like that and high stress. And then like this, like my mentality is like, this might as well be happening.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
See, that's when you want the magician, and he just swaps
If
you out
only.
with another.
I
If
wanted
only.
a magician.
Oh, he just shows up and takes your order.
Pops out of my bag.
You hungry?
What would you like, sir?
But yeah, so like that was that. And then like, I was a little heated when I got on the plane. I wasn't happy about the situation. But
Yeah.
ultimately, in the end, it wasn't that big of a fucking deal. It was just that like, oh,
just the
here we
hassle.
go. And then I knew she'd be stressing.
And there's always more
Once you were on
planes
the
to bomb.
plane, I was not stressing.
Always
Yeah.
more planes to bomb.
Yeah.
Before we went through customs, Pete said to me, he's like, whatever they ask you, just say no. And then I was like, well, what if the answer is yes? He's like, you say no. And I was like, but that's lying. And then he was like, yeah, no, you just lie to them. And I was like, no. I can't
Say no to
just-
me, but
I
not to
just
the
can't-
fucking TSA people.
Nicolette,
I
I
don't
think
lie
you're a
to
drug.
you.
I think you're a drug mule.
So first of all, the first thing that they fucking ask me, and my carry-on bag is nothing but cigarettes. Because
Oh yeah, we
Which
loaded
is
up on the
actually
way out.
worse.
yeah, Pete
That's actually
wanted
worse.
to take home as much
Oh,
of
that's
the
right.
Colombian cigarettes as he could.
They're
Three cartons is what they allow per person.
Yep.
So yeah.
I don't know how much it was, but it looked like a fucking lot to me. And
Listen, you don't need to say that on the podcast. It was no cigarettes. There was no cigarettes in your bag. Tell your story. Tell your story. This is all a joke, everybody.
It's just a joke. It's not real. But I walk up to him and he's like, is there any nicotine or tobacco products in your bag? That's the first thing he says to me. And I look at him and I'm like, no. And he fucking knows I'm not telling the truth. He knows.
Ow!
He fucking knows. I like have this look on my face like I'm like a sad puppy.
I'm fucking drawing my thumb across my
Fire.
neck, staring at her in the
So
eye.
bad. And then he's like, are you sure? And I was like, yes. and he was like, okay, you can go. And then I get through the line and I look at Pete and I'm like, I'm getting fucking arrested. You better say goodbye to me. It's over. Everything is fucking over.
Everything's fine. Shut up, bitch.
I love that because you guys got to go ahead of me to customs because I was the only moron to check a bag.
Oh, yeah.
So I was waiting there for my bag. As soon as I grab it, I go right through it, and it's like they just opened up a brand new line,
Yeah.
specifically for me. it
Yeah.
seemed. And meanwhile, I'm still in injured puppy mode. Like I can't do anything. If somebody breathed on me, I'd probably fall down. But so the guy's asking me questions, and I'm like, oh yeah, I went to Colombia. It's like, oh, what'd you do in Colombia? And I'm like, I don't know, man.
Sir, you are still.
he asked me like where'd we stand. I'm like, Cartagena. I don't know what the address was. They're all goofy there. I don't fucking know.
That's the key, though, to give like a jovial answer. When I went through that same line, the guy asked me, I think it was the most recent trip, but he asked me, he was like, did you buy anything there? He didn't ask me the cigarettes or whatever. Did you buy anything? And I said, no. He's like, you didn't buy anything while you were there? And I was like, no. He was like, nothing. Not for any family members or whatever. I was like, I go there and I hang out with my family and I do whatever it is that they give to me and I drink the whole time and I don't know anything about your questions.
Wow.
Yeah. And then but it's an honest answer.
No, but
You
I
know?
feel like it was long. Like I feel like my exit was so easy.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah,
They usually
that's
ask
how
me
it goes.
proper questions because how I look, and I usually go through it
I
solo.
feel like the entrance was more like intimidating than the exit. The
I
exit
think-
was so easy.
I think I was the only one with maybe you, Justin, but I might have been the only one with a bunch of cigarettes in my bag.
Oh, my backpack was full of cigarettes.
No.
He's like,
and
do
that's
you
what-
have any tobacco products or nicotine? I'm like,
No.
oh my God, he has a camera in there. He fucking
No.
knows.
No.
He knows. He's watching.
Doesn't matter
Oh
what he
my
knows.
God.
He can't prove.
Was the
anything.
camera loaded?
No. It's all about what they can
Like,
prove.
and I went through. They saw all that shit and let me through.
Yeah, they don't really care
No.
about it.
No, they wiped it down to see if there were bombs in the cigarettes.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't really care.
No, but yes.
So
Next time we'll scale this up. We're doing plutonium.
we get through customs, and then we're gonna like meet back up. We get something to eat, but like through like the chance of God, we learn that, oh hey, your plane has changed like the gate that it was supposed to be at, and we found that out, Pete, because you were at a bar and somebody recognized
Yeah.
you. And I'm like,
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
That guy's got a great memory. That's insane. Yeah, wherever you are, stranger.
It was the bartender. You could say that.
All right.
we had to change gates,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden too, oh no, all right, now your plane's delayed by an hour.
Yep.
And
Yep.
in typical fashion, like this trip had not been going swell enough, or at least the exit had not been going swell enough.
And then
Forgot about that.
and then click over to us, half of us leaning up against the wall eating shitty burritos.
Oh,
Yeah.
those were very bad burritos.
Those are bad,
my-
yeah. I got
Fuck
food
you
from
for
some
making me remember that. They were terrible.
Pete and I had decided that we were just going to drink, even though in my state, like literally could not defend myself from anything. And I'm like, no, the plane is delayed.
I was also like you guys at the. I was getting snippy with you guys because I was done.
You were in a mode. You were like, no, fuck you all. I'm getting home. I'm getting home. Fuck you all. I'm getting home.
I was about alcohol.
And I was like, not about to fuck with that. And I was like, yeah, no, dude, we're gonna get home.
I
And
think
I was
even
trying to make jokes about, haha.
Shut up, baby. I know it.
No, like, it's a different time zone. Like, we're
think it was
actually
just
gonna get
Florida.
home at the same time as we would if we were in Colombia.
Yeah, we were trying to
He was
figure
like,
out.
no.
We were trying to
Fuck
figure
that.
out
And if
what
you turn
to
your
do.
clock back forward 4 hours.
And like it was the most benign thing. We were just trying to figure out where to get food or a drink or something. And I snapped on you guys, and I was like, "I'm sorry, but I am over all of this."
There's plenty of reasons for it. Plenty of reasons for it. And also too, like I had no like brain power left, so anything that I did
You
to
were
piss
just
you
like,
off, I was just okay. I fucked up clearly.
No, I feel bad about it, but I was just like, that was like the being pulled aside thing. That was just like the last straw for me, and I was just like running on that for the rest of the fucking day.
That's
Yeah.
fair. You also had to drive home too.
Well, that was fine, but like, all right, so we get back to Philadelphia, and then we have to go find our cars.
Yeah.
Because once again, came into Terminal D and then had to go outside and walk all the way up to B for us and A for you guys in the second car.
I thought you guys were parked like relatively close after all of that.
Well, you were in their car, not
Well,
ours.
no, but on the
initially.
way home, I was with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why on the
Like,
way
it
home you
was
had to follow
switched.
us.
It just seemed like you guys parked like at the
Yeah, in
So-
the whatever,
in the airport parking lot.
garage.
Like
Yeah.
you guys parked relatively close compared to the two different stories that
Yeah,
you both
yeah.
told
Yeah.
of the like trying to find the parking spots.
Of all of the things, that was the like getting out of Columbia, getting through Fort Lauderdale. That was the easiest part. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, like all right, just go to the car now.
Well,
That
and
was
there's also the thing of like, you're like an hour away from home.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Like the
You're
coast
in
is clear.
familiar
at that point.
territory.
Yeah.
It's like more familiar than where you just were.
Yeah.
The only thing that we had going against us at that point was tired. Well, also I had my stomach issues, but like at that point I kind of felt fine. Like I had enough ginger ale and also gin and ginger ale.
Yeah.
They've kind of been like, all right, I felt good on the plane until like halfway there, and then I'm like, I no longer feel good anymore. But it was just like enough to like get me home.
The end is in sight.
Yeah, the end was a sight. And
Yeah.
and it was a long trip. I think we all enjoyed it, at least a good chunk of it.
Oh, and what I
It
will
was a good
absolutely say,
time.
I thought it was a great trip. Yeah, there was some wild things that happened in the middle there, and that's fine. But like, all in all, fucking great trip.
Agree.
Yeah.
Great trip.
It was the
Good
birth.
group of people.
It was the birth of the Super Soak Squad. Also, the responsibility boat and the fun boat.
And don't forget about Fuego.
And
Fuego.
Yeah.
Listen,
Mango.
this podcast could have been
Mango.
4 hours.
Yeah.
If we really wanted to be. If we got into every
Oh my god!
single
Oh god! No,
little
this
thing.
is
Probably more than 4, and 2 of them are just the Fuego.
We love each
That's
other.
no, but legit great group of people to travel with. Would do it 1,000 times over. It was a great trip.
We made the most of all
We
of our
did.
situations.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Colombia 2025.
We
We'll
hardly
talk
knew
about
you.
it.
Yeah.
All right, you get cracking on that Mr. Freeze costume for me. It's got to have real air conditioning in it.
Fun.
And also, too, like I'm going to need some stronger stomach medication because the aftermath of that was awful. Like I was ready for a colonoscopy after that fucking week.
Dan, we're removing not just the colon but the whole stomach. We're
Ah.
getting that out of
I
there.
wonder how well Flex Seal works internally.
It works great. It works great.
My intestines.
Dan, you're gonna love the way
My
you look.
intestines are miles and miles of Flex Seal.
I have to say this, too, in the aftermath because my stomach was so bad that I actually had to like text or call my mom. It's like, listen, I really can't leave the
Mike, I'll
house.
see you again.
But I do
My
need
dearest Margaret.
but I do need food.
Oh,
Can you
right.
please bring over, like, if you have plain pasta,
Yeah.
can you just bring that over? And she did. And then she's like, well, what's the problem? And I told her all of the things. And the one thing she said to me was, well, I don't understand. If cocaine was your problem drug, why would you go to Colombia?
Yeah, I think that's the moral.
There we are.
That's the
Full
moral
circle.
of the story.
She understood the assignment.
She understood all of it. And what you should understand out there is to subscribe to this podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. Check us out on YouTube and Rumble. Make sure that you like, comment, share, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our content. Follow us on social media. We are at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you enjoyed this podcast, then become a Loud and Drunk supporter at loudanddrunk.locals.com and patreon.com/loudanddrunk. Also, loudanddrunk.com. Make that your home base. That's our home base. You can catch up on the podcast, merch, and we'll be adding more features to that as we go along. So, this was a long podcast, guys. It was
A lot of people. First two double continuous, whatever you want to call it.
First 2-parter episode. First one where we had more than just, when we had more than 5 people on the podcast.
Yeah.
And on those episodes, we split the duty on one mic. So
Yeah, we went balls deep with a bunch of new untested equipment on this.
Yeah.
And so hopefully it's good for you.
Producer Dan will have to see how it sounds in post. Kristina, thank you for joining us. Nick, thank you for joining us. So for Pete, Moses, Justin, I am a very tired Dan. And until next time, ay, 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 ay. Ay, ay, ay.